sail on. The river is waiting, sail on. Sail on. Oh, my mind's waiting, sail on.
I love this community. I absolutely adore this community, and because we had Thanksgiving this week, I was thinking of all the things I was grateful for, and this community is right up there at the very top of my list. I was at, those of you who may know Kathy Thorson. She passed away a few weeks ago, and her memorial was last week. I can't tell you how my heart filled up when I came to that memorial and found all of these hundreds of people, many of them, most of them from this community, that came together to support the family, to say how much we honored and loved Kathy, and to be there, just to be there as a high and holy place of consciousness for the family and for all friends. It filled my heart so much. It filled my heart. So I am grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the teaching. I'm grateful for the practitioners. Will the practitioners stand up? Thank you. I'm grateful to all the practitioners who have held a high and holy watch for everything that goes on in this center. It's just amazing. So I'm grateful for this center. I was also really amazed at Thanksgiving this year about how this country, in all of its wisdom, decided to have one day a year just dedicated to Thanksgiving. Intentionally. This is the day, the fourth Thursday of November. This is the day we take off work, we all get together as family, and we give thanks. Got it? I mean, really, it's an absolutely beautiful thing, because if we don't take a moment to intentionally give thanks, it gets away from us. We're always like looking for the next problem of the day. We're always looking at how we have to protect ourselves, at what is threatening us, at what we're complaining about. And it takes intention to stop and be grateful. It's a high and holy activity, intentional thanksgiving, intentional gratitude. You know, we teach our kids to say please and thank you. And I don't know, I mean, we think we do it out of manners. But I have a feeling that when we teach our kids thank you, there is something from a primitive part of ourselves that knows that we need to have places to do intentional thanksgiving, intentional gratitude. I think that's why people say grace before meal. It's a way of reminding ourselves we need to be intentionally grateful for this food. Intentional gratitude. Now, why do we even care about gratitude? Well, Robert Emmons is a researcher whose whole life is dedicated to researching the benefits of gratitude. And he says that you've got lots of benefits. You've got health benefits. Number one, you've got the lowering of stress. A lot of people who have been in his studies have noticed a decline in their blood pressure. He said even aches and pains seem to vanish in the presence of gratitude. He says you've got emotional benefits. That means that all those toxic types of emotions that we sometimes carry, envy or resentment or anger or depression, he says those tend to fade away in the presence of gratitude. He also says that relationships can grow and sparkle and deepen because of gratitude. Because he said that in the presence of gratitude, those things like aggression go down, and things like compassion and kindness go up in the presence of gratitude. And finally, he says that actually, he's got a lot more than I'm giving you. I just tried to touch on the highlights. But he said that gratitude stimulates generosity and giving. How many of you would like to be just a more generous person, fearlessly generous? Of course, it's something that is within our soul. We want to give. We want to enact the giving nature of God. And gratitude is one of the ways in which we do that. While I was researching, I also had the opportunity to pull up this article, a Huffington Post article, that said money, how did it say? The origin of money is gratitude. What? The origin of money is gratitude. Oh, let me stop, okay? You guys know where we're talking right now, what we're talking about. I'm going to go right over here because I have to do a promo for my prosperity party this afternoon, and I don't want to forget it. Now that we're talking about money, the party, it's a little workshop, and it's all about having fun with money and not being all upset about it and responsible and having it tied up with hard work and all that stuff. So it's just supposed to be how to cultivate more fun without money. Got that? 1 o'clock, upstairs, register out there. Okay, so Huffington Post article. Origin of money is gratitude. And the example that they brought up in this article was go all the way back to cave person times. And you've got this caveman and this cave woman and this cave baby in a cave, okay? And the cave baby is very, very sick. And they're worried that the cave baby is going to die. And so the cave woman runs out to go find a medicine woman to come back and do her thing. And she puts on poultices and she does her chants. And all of a sudden, the baby starts to thrive. Well, they didn't have HMOs then or copays. So what this woman did, because she was so grateful, was offer food to this medicine woman. And every day for the next couple of months, they took over food. Why? Because they were grateful. Gratitude begets giving. Gratitude begets generosity, which begets giving. Which if we give, we tend to receive more, and then the gratitude cycle happens again. Do you see that? Do you see why every prosperity teacher from forever has taught gratitude? It's because when you get into that place of gratitude, you become open. You enact the nature of God by giving, and more gets given to you. It's just the way it is. So gratitude begets giving. Now, have any of you ever been in that situation where you've had to pay a bill or give in some way like that, and you felt a little resentful? Oftentimes, our resentment comes because we can't hook up what we're grateful for and what we have to pay for. For example, if you're like me, sometimes you skip home from work. Well, I don't actually skip, but I go to my mailbox, pull out the mail, and as I'm going down to my house, I'm thumbing through it, and I get to my house, and I start opening up bills. And it occurs to me, these bills are what are standing between me and having a nice Christmas and being generous with all my family and friends because I have to pay these bills. Anybody been there besides me? But if I can look at those bills, one of them is the light bill. The heat bill. It's like, oh my God, the heat bill, look at how high it is. I can't believe they're charging us even more than they did last year, blah, 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 blah. And yet, if they had handed me that bill 2 nights ago when it was raining, and so cold, and I was shivering, and I walked into my house and oh my God, I feel so warm now. If they had said, here's the bill for that, I would have said, here, take my money, how wonderful. Or the next one was the hospital bill. I had to go, I know I'm supposed to be spiritual enough to cure myself of all ills. However, I'm not there. So one night I was just in agony. I mean, I was sick all night long. I was so weak I couldn't even get my husband to take me to the emergency room because I was just, every 2 minutes I was just losing it. I mean, and even when there wasn't anything to lose, I was sick all night long. Finally I said, honey, I don't know what else to do. It's not stopping. You're going to have to drag me to the emergency room. So he did, and at the emergency room, they gave me a magic shot. And then they gave me a magic IV to put fluids back in my body. Within an hour, things were just doing fine. Within 2 hours, I was walking out of there. I was grateful. If they had handed me that bill right then, I would have jumped up and down and probably added 20% to it because I was so grateful in that moment. So do you see how we have to be intentionally grateful? We have to get the bill and we have to relive, what did I get for this? Why should I be, what happened that I am paying for that I should be grateful for? When you get your Visa bill, oh my God, you start looking down and thinking, oh my God, did I really spend that much this month? And yet every one of those items is something to be grateful for. But it requires intentional gratitude. Not just, and we always think, well, gratitude, like, it's just got to be organic, right? It's just got to happen in the moment and I'm grateful. No, that kind of gratitude does happen. But intentional gratitude is where the deep spiritual work is. Intentional gratitude. Because that's where the happiness comes from. Oh, happiness. Let me tell you a little story. Many of you know my husband, Paul. And Paul's just kind of a generally happy guy. And a couple years after we were married, we were driving along somewhere. And he looks over at me and says, were you happy in high school? And I'm like, well, of course I was happy in high school. Like, I grew up on the beach, and I had a great family, and I got good grades in school, and I was a cheerleader, and I even became homecoming queen. I was part of a folk group, and we took first in the state against another folk group who had won it 3 years in a row, and I had, I always had a date to the prom, and I surfed. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff to be grateful for, right? There was all kinds of stuff to be happy about, right? And so I'm telling him this, and I look over him almost challengingly, and he's driving. He goes, but did you know it at the time? I didn't know it at the time. At the time of high school, even though I was in a great family and I lived on the beach and I surfed and stuff, I was always self-conscious of what I looked like in a bathing suit. Even though I became a cheerleader and I was a homecoming queen, I never really owned the fact that people even liked me. It was kind of a surprise to me. Even though I had a great family and I did well in academics, it was like I had to do well in academics. That was my place among 10 children. I was the smart one. So I couldn't let that fall down. My older sister could sing really well. My next youngest sister was just beautiful and able to engage people in a most harmonious way. Mine was I studied and I got good grades. That's where I got my appreciation, my kudos in the family. It was not so much that I had such a fascination with learning. It was that I had to get good grades. Do you see? Oh, yeah, I surfed. We out in front of our house, we had 2 to 3 foot waves. I was really good. I mean, I could stand up and surf. And then I'd have a friend who would take me out to the North Shore where there were 10 to 15 foot waves. And he's like, yeah, come on, Sharon. And I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to go out in that. And feeling at that time bad, instead of being happy that I could surf some ways, I was feeling bad that I wasn't courageous enough to go out there. And of course, in his 16-year-old wisdom, he looked at me and he's like, oh, come on. We all got to die sometime. Why not make it doing something you really love as opposed to just wasting away in a nursing home? So out to the waves I went, and I sat out for a long time till he noticed I was just sitting out. And then finally, I started taking some waves, and I ate it. I mean, my head was mashed into the sand, my board on the rocks, and finally I pulled my broken board and my broken body up to the beach, and I thought, where's the nursing home? I'd like to check in now, please. But I wasn't in a place to be happy and grateful for the fact. I was embarrassed that I wasn't courageous enough. I was embarrassed that I didn't have the guts that my brothers had. So when Paul said, did you know that you were happy at the time? The answer was no, I didn't. And I don't know if you guys have ever gone through that, where you think back on a time in your life, but if you really put yourself back in there, it's not that. I didn't have that kind of gratitude. I was depressed a lot. I walked the beach by myself a lot. I wasn't happy at the time. But Paul, thank you, my dear. Stand up. Please, let me give gratitude to you. Paul, in his infinite wisdom, said, Sharon, I got the trick. All you got to do is be grateful right now for stuff. You got to just look at where you are, wherever you are. Just remind yourself at certain times of the day and stuff to stop and say, am I grateful? Am I happy? And I'll tell you, that practice did a lot. So happiness is another byproduct of gratitude. I also have to tell you about somebody else that I'm really grateful for. Her name is Kelly LaRue. I don't know, is she here? Are you here, Kelly? Anyway, Kelly LaRue is my resident muse. She's a genius. And she once told me about gratitude, and she said gratitude is that which it's the fuel, which keeps you doing whatever you were appreciated for. I was like, huh? She said, when you give somebody appreciation, for example, the example she uses is, if you like to cook, you want to be teamed up with someone who likes to eat, right? She said, because they will give you kudos all day long, right? About your cooking. And so you'll keep doing it. And even when you get discouraged or want to quit, you get this appreciation and it keeps you doing what you do. Like, we all have to have that kind of fuel. We need fuel for our bodies, such as vegetables and salmon and cookies. And we need fuel for our bodies, but we also need that fuel for our spirit to keep us doing what we do. And we naturally know that. People who give beautiful musical gifts to us, like our musicians, we stand up and clap for them. We say, thank you. Encore, do it again. And for many of them who might be on the verge of quitting, that's enough to keep them going one more show. Does that make sense? And you don't just get the gratitude from others. You can also get it from yourself. But miracles happen. Absolute miracles happen when we're grateful. I want to tell you one example from the Bible, because I love the Bible. Jesus was feeding the 5,000. And his little disciples came up and said, you know, boss, we really should get out of here because these guys are going to turn mean. They haven't had anything to eat all day. And Jesus wanted to keep preaching. And he says, really, serious, all we got are these three loaves of bread and 2 fish. And thinking, probably the apostles were thinking, that's just enough for us. Right? like, let's send the rest home. And Jesus instead took the 3 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, and what did he do? Yeah. He looked up and gave thanks. He looked up and gave thanks for what he has. Now, I'm here to tell you that thanks that he gave, and then from that thanks, he went ahead and gave it to the crowd. That gratitude was contagious. Have you guys ever been in the midst of contagious gratitude? It was contagious, and there are Bible scholars that say that what probably happened, the reason why they probably had 12 baskets of food left over was because it was a Jewish tradition to fill the inside of your little smocks, your little cloaks, with food and provisions when you went somewhere, but you didn't tell anyone because they might take it. They might want some, kind of like the protein bar in the bottom of my purse. You know, don't tell anyone. But in the presence of such incredible gratitude, everybody opened up. Everybody opened up. Gratitude opened you up. They all opened up and gave what they had. Remember what I said? Gratitude causes generosity. The gratitude was contagious, and it caused this flow of generosity that was able to feed everyone. So how do you do this? How do you do intentional gratitude? Because Jesus was faced with a situation of two fish and 3 loaves of bread, and how can you be grateful for that in the midst of all that lack? How? Intentionally. He intentionally held it and gave thanks for this small amount. That's what we have to do, is in the face of conflict, in the face of lack, in the face of disaster, in the face of whatever, we need to bring ourselves back and consciously be grateful. So 3 ways. Tell yourself, tell others, and tell God. Intentionally tell yourself how grateful you are. Figure out a time when you can journal in like maybe a morning practice or an evening practice where you can just journal a couple of things that you're grateful for. Tell yourself, I am grateful for this. When my husband and I sit at church, we usually sit way in the back, and when we hold our tithe, we sit there and hold it together, and then after the prayer, we intentionally look at each other and say, we are so grateful for this community. We are so grateful for all the blessings in our life. We are so grateful. It's an intentional thing. When it's time for giving, we know it's time for gratitude. So whether it's a journal that you keep, whether it's a little prayer that you do when you give weekly, I don't care. Something intentional that will remind you, oh, it's time to give thanks. Maybe it's a beep on your phone, an alarm on your phone. Whatever it is, intentionally stop and think, what am I grateful for? A second thing, okay, the first thing is tell yourself. Journaling, some kind of intentional practice. The second thing is tell someone else. How many times in your life do you experience the goodness of someone and you feel grateful, but you've got something to do so you don't tell them? How easy do we have it these days with text and email and, as Beverly says, Twitter? Can you do thanks on Twitter? I guess you can. Anyway, but all of these different ways, of being able to tell another person or a group of people, I so appreciate you. How many of you have ever gotten like a rogue thank you note on email or text or a phone call? Somebody's just saying, I just want to thank you for such and such. Anybody here besides me? Isn't it like the best feeling in the world? Does it revitalize you like it does me? And it's like, okay, I can keep on with life. Somebody appreciated me. So tell someone else, because when you tell someone else, it gets contagious. Someone tells you they're grateful, you start telling other people they're grateful. Imagine the tidal wave of gratitude that would spread over this country and this world if we all started saying we were grateful. So grateful to yourself, grateful to other people, and third, grateful to God. My sister May, some of you may have read her book, The Path to Wealth. Anybody? Path to Wealth. It's an excellent book. Excellent book. And one of the things she says in there is reframe your prayers. Redo your prayers and make them love notes, thank you notes to God. Make them thank you notes to God. She calls it the CSO. But they're thank you notes. Oh, sweet Spirit, thank you for the glorious health that I've experienced all my life. And thank you so much that this leg pain is disappearing back into the nothingness from which it came. It's like framed in a thank you note so that you are open to the blessings. You're open to the blessings. So first is thank you to yourself. A personal thank you. Thank you. Tell yourself you're grateful. Tell others you're grateful. And tell God you're grateful. Because here's what gratitude is. This is the secret. Gratitude is recognizing the good, right? Recognizing the good in yourself, in others, in the world. What does our philosophy say good is? Say it louder, come on. It says good is God. So when we recognize the good in people, in ourselves, and in situations, we are recognizing the God in it. We are recognizing the God in it. So how can we not get back numerous blessings when we do that? Okay, so why talk about gratitude now? It's after Thanksgiving. It's time for red and gifts and Santa and the baby and sparkles and stuff. We're done with Thanksgiving. That happened last week. Why did I feel this compulsion to talk about it? I feel this compulsion to talk about it because our world is demanding it. It needs us to be a contagion of this goodness. Let me repeat that. The world needs all of us to be a contagion of goodness, to be a contagion of recognizing the good in each other and the good in the world. It needs us to do this at this time. Not always seeing us as good and them as bad. No, it needs us to recognize that there is a goodness in all situations. I just saw a movie. Have anybody here seen a movie Arrival yet? Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but I'm just gonna tell you a little piece about it. In the movie Arrival, one of the messages was no matter what conflicts we have, we are being called to take all those conflicts, all those accusations, all of those me and them, all of that, and we're called to put it aside. I'm not going to say, just get rid of it, because I know that sometimes that's not possible. But I'm just inviting you to take all that heavy stuff and just put it aside for right now. And then what that movie said, after you put that aside in service of the greater good, then You recognize the good. You give thanks for the good in every other person, recognizing that each person has a piece of the puzzle to our survival, to our global evolution. Every person, each one of you and every person out there has one piece of the puzzle, and it's not a whole unless we recognize that every person has that piece of the puzzle, and we are a piece of the puzzle. And so there's this call not to just recognize that, but to appreciate that it takes all of us. We are all on this earth at this time because we are meant to contribute to it, each of us, no matter what. So thank you. So we can't afford to sit around and wait for gratitude to happen. We can't. Our part this day is to start being intentionally grateful, to start being grateful, to telling ourselves about our gratitude, to telling other people, even maybe someone that doesn't agree with you at your office, in your center, how much you appreciate them anyway. Conflict aside, how much I appreciate you anyway. And the third is to consistently tell your God, because in this way, you will get all the benefits, all the health benefits, the emotional benefits, the monetary benefits. You'll get all of those benefits, and you will have the benefit of a world that works for everyone. So, on this path of gratitude, you're just called to do your part every day, and it will spread. So let's pray. I give thanks. Meister Eckhart said that if the only prayer we ever said was thank you, it would be enough. And so I just say thank you. I say thank you for this center, for this place that calls me to know God in a bigger and bigger way, to know myself as God in a bigger and bigger way, a place that calls me to know everyone outside of me in a bigger and bigger way, to see the divinity and the God and the value in every person. I give thanks for this center. I give thanks for every person in it, for we all create this community. I give thanks for our lives. I give thanks for the health that is rampant right here and right now. And I give thanks for the health, the even better health that is to come. I give thanks for the prosperity that is present in this room. And I give thanks for the even greater prosperity that is visiting us and taking up residence in all of us. I give thanks for the love and the givingness and the service that is present in this community. And I give thanks that we become a bigger and bigger catalyst for a world that works for everyone. I give thanks for what I have now intentionally. I give thanks for what is to come. For truly, truly, if God is all, then goodness and blessings abound. I give thanks for that now, for it is already in the mind of God. I give thanks for the opportunity to be grateful. What a sweet, sweet technology for goodness just circulating and magnifying and multiplying in our world. Gratitude, just simple thank yous. Oh my God, I give thanks for gratitude. And in this place of thanks, I just turn it over. I say, oh, sweet Spirit, just use us. we will do our part. We will be thankful. We will express intentional gratitude. You use us in a way that lifts the world and brings good for all. And so it is.